How the scam starts. The first contact often arrives looking innocent, sometimes even uplifting. Lottery or sweepstakes notification, a letter, email, or even a phone call claiming, "Congratulations! You've just won $250,000 in our senior lucky draw sweepstakes." The message looks professional, complete with logos, signatures, and even fake legal disclaimers. Too good to be true job offer. Seniors searching for flexible, at-home work may find ads that say, "Work from home, earn $5,000 a month with no experience needed." The ad includes a sleek website, a professional recruiter, and testimonials, all AI generated. Investment opportunity, online ads or direct messages promise guaranteed returns through crypto schemes, gold investments, or exclusive retirement funds. The websites look polished, and the pitch often comes via smooth-talking representatives who sound like seasoned financial advisors. Inheritance or charity fraud. Sometimes, the message claims, "You've been chosen to inherit from a distant relative," or "We're inviting you to be part of an exclusive humanitarian project." The approach varies, but the pattern is always the same. Lure seniors in with hope, excitement, or greed, then pull the rug out. The hook, what they ask for. Scammers rarely ask for everything up front. They know how to reel victims in gradually. Lottery and sweepstakes scams. Victims are told they must pay processing fees, taxes, or legal costs before their winnings can be released. They're urged to act quickly to avoid losing their prize. Job offer scams. Victims may be asked to buy starter kits, pay for training, or share social security and bank details for direct deposit. Some are tricked into being money mules, unknowingly laundering stolen funds. Investment schemes. Victims are pressured into transferring large sums of money with promises of extraordinary returns. At first, small profits may appear in fake dashboards to build trust. Visual. A hand repeatedly opening a deli meat package across several days, moisture droplets forming inside the plastic. Slow zoom on condensation. Narrator VO. This risk is even more concerning for older adults. As we age, our bodies become less efficient at repairing DNA damage caused by carcinogens. That means toxins like nitrosamines may inflict deeper, longer-lasting harm. Add to that the fact that seniors often eat smaller meals, stretching one pack of bacon or ham across days or even weeks. Each time that package is opened, the exposure to air and moisture accelerates chemical changes. Think about it. What might be a mild risk for a young person whose body detoxifies more efficiently can quietly become a serious threat for someone in their 60s or 70s. Cut to dramatized story. An older man, Harold, sitting at his kitchen table with a plate of sausage. He looks thoughtful as a doctor's voice overlays. Narrator VO. I once met Harold, age 72, who lived alone after his wife passed. He loved smoked sausage. It reminded him of family cookouts. He'd buy a large family-sized pack, keep it in his fridge, and cook a little at a time. One day, after a regular checkup, his doctor warned him about the dangers of storing processed meats for weeks. Harold was shocked. He thought refrigeration meant safety. Now Harold has changed his habits. He buys smaller portions, freezes extras immediately, and uses what he opens within just a few days. He still enjoys his favorite foods, but in a way that protects his long-term health. Visual. A split screen. Left side showing unopened processed meats sitting for weeks in a fridge. Right side showing smaller portions, some frozen, labeled neatly. Narrator VO. This is the key message. You don't need to give up every food you love, but you do need to change how you handle them. Buy in small amounts. Freeze what you won't use within 3 to 5 days. Avoid pre-sliced packages that sit on store shelves for weeks. Choose fresh cut from the deli counter instead. And when in doubt, throw it out. The cost of replacing a pack of ham is small compared to the cost of fighting cancer later. Closing visual for section. Black and white photo of sizzling bacon fading into a health warning text overlay. On-screen text overlay. Crossmark. Processed meats form cancer-causing compounds over time. White heavy checkmark. Eat fresh. Freeze leftovers. Limit intake. Narrator VO. Remember, your fridge is not just a storage box. It can either protect your health or silently work against it. By handling processed and smoked meats wisely, you can still enjoy the flavors you love without letting hidden dangers accumulate in every slice. 2. Leftover cooked rice. Visual: warm steam rising from a pot of freshly cooked rice. The camera lingers as the pot is left uncovered on a counter. Narrator VO. Rice seems so harmless, doesn't it? A simple grain, served on family tables for generations. Many of us think nothing of making a big pot of rice on Sunday, keeping it in the fridge, and reheating it for meals throughout the week. But here's what most people don't realize. Cooked rice can become a silent trap for toxins if it isn't cooled and stored properly. Inside every grain of rice may live a bacteria called Bacillus cereus. These bacteria can survive even after cooking, lying dormant as heat-resistant spores. If rice is cooled too slowly, or if it sits in the fridge for too long, those spores can wake up, multiply, and release toxins. These toxins are heat-stable, meaning reheating the rice doesn't always destroy them. Visual: time-lapse of rice sitting on a counter, cooling slowly. Subtle text overlay. Danger zone: 40 to 140 degrees Fahrenheit. Narrator VO. Food scientists call this the danger zone. Temperatures between 40 and 140 degrees Fahrenheit. The longer rice stays in this range, the more chance bacteria have to grow. And the risk doesn't stop there. In damp, cool conditions like a refrigerator, improperly stored rice can develop mold. Some molds produce aflatoxins, toxic compounds linked to liver damage and even cancer, as noted by studies in Asia and confirmed in health reports from the Times of India and continental hospitals. The frightening part? You can't always see the danger. Spoiled rice may look fine. It may even smell normal. But toxins can still be present, silently waiting in every spoonful. Visual: a woman in her 60s preparing a plate of reheated rice, smiling at first. The screen darkens slightly as facts appear beside her. Narrator VO. For younger people, mild food poisoning from rice might pass in a day or two. But for seniors, with weaker immune systems and slower recovery times, it can lead to severe dehydration, hospitalization, and long-term complications. What's mild for one person can be life-threatening for another. I remember speaking with Patricia, age 68. Every Sunday, she made a large pot of rice to last the whole week. It was a tradition her mother had passed down. But one week, Patricia ended up in the hospital with severe food poisoning. Her doctor traced it back to her rice routine, stored too long in the fridge, reheated multiple times. She was shocked. She thought rice was the safest, simplest food. She had no idea it could turn against her. Visual: split screen. On one side, rice stored in a huge container, clumped together. On the other side, rice spread thinly on a tray, cooling quickly before being packed into small containers. Narrator VO. The truth is, rice isn't dangerous if handled wisely. The danger comes from habits, leaving it out too long, storing it in big clumps, or keeping it for days in the fridge. Here's what food safety experts recommend. Cool rice quickly after cooking. Spread it in a thin layer so steam escapes fast. Refrigerate promptly, within an hour if possible. Eat within 1 to 2 days. Rice doesn't keep safely for a week. If you want to keep it longer, freeze it in small portions. Frozen rice reheats beautifully, with far less risk. Never reheat rice more than once. Each cycle of cooling and warming makes the risk grow. Visual: a family enjoying fresh rice at dinner. Overlaying text: safe practices equals safe health. Narrator VO. These small habits can make the difference between a nourishing meal and a dangerous one. Rice is a comfort food around the world, soft, warm, familiar. But comfort should never come at the cost of health. Think of it this way. Every time you handle rice safely, you're not just protecting your stomach for today. You're protecting your liver, your immune system, and your long-term well-being for years to come. Tip overlay on screen. White heavy checkmark: cool rice quickly by spreading it thinly. White heavy checkmark: refrigerate promptly. White heavy checkmark: eat within 1 to 2 days. White heavy checkmark: freeze in single portions for later. Narrator VO. So the next time you cook rice, remember, don't let a simple grain become a silent threat. Handle it wisely, and it will remain the wholesome, safe food it was always meant to be. 3. Soft, mold-prone cheeses: brie, camembert, blue cheeses, etc. Visual: elegant close-up of a cheese board, brie, blue cheese, and crackers lit warmly. The screen slowly darkens as text appears, hidden danger in every bite. Narrator VO. Soft cheeses are beloved around the world. Brie melting on warm bread. A slice of blue cheese paired with fruit and wine. For many, these foods represent sophistication, comfort, and tradition. But beneath that creamy texture and rich flavor lies a risk that refrigeration alone cannot solve. Unlike harder cheeses, these soft varieties contain high levels of moisture. And moisture, combined with protein and fat, creates the perfect breeding ground for dangerous microorganisms. One of the most concerning is Listeria monocytogenes. Unlike many bacteria that die in the cold, Listeria can survive and even multiply inside your refrigerator. According to health reports from continental hospitals and global food safety agencies, Listeria poses a special danger for older adults. For someone in their 20s or 30s, an infection might cause flu-like symptoms. But for seniors, Listeria can trigger severe illness, hospitalization, or worse. It is particularly ruthless for anyone with weakened immunity. Visual: slow zoom on a wedge of brie. The surface looks normal, but then a cross-section animation reveals mold spreading invisibly inside. Narrator VO. And it's not just Listeria we need to worry about. Mold is another silent invader. With soft cheeses, mold doesn't just stay on the surface. It spreads quickly and deeply through the creamy interior. Here's the danger. You may only see a tiny fuzzy spot on the outside. But by the time it's visible, microscopic tendrils have already traveled inside, carrying mycotoxins with them. These toxins are not destroyed by refrigeration. They don't disappear when you cut off the moldy part. They can remain hidden throughout the cheese, making what seems like a small blemish into a serious health threat. Long-term exposure to some mycotoxins has been linked to liver damage, immune suppression, and even cancer. Visual: reenactment. An elderly man, Harold, 74, pouring wine, cutting into a wedge of brie. The scene freezes as the narrator speaks. Narrator VO. I once met Harold, age 74. He loved the European tradition of ending the day with a small cheese plate, brie with crackers, a little wine, a ritual that gave him joy. But Harold also had a habit. He would buy a large wedge of cheese and slowly eat it over several weeks, convinced that the fridge would keep it safe. One evening, Harold developed severe stomach pain and fever. Doctors traced the cause back to a Listeria infection from the very wedge of brie he'd been stretching over time. He later admitted, "I thought cheese was timeless. I didn't realize the danger was building quietly in my own fridge." Visual: split screen. Left side shows cheese left unwrapped, sweating in the fridge. Right side shows cheese neatly wrapped in parchment and placed in a sealed container. Narrator VO. Thankfully, protecting yourself isn't about giving up these foods completely. It's about handling them wisely. Food safety experts recommend: only buy what you will finish within a week. Avoid stocking large wedges if you live alone or eat small amounts. Wrap properly. Use wax or parchment paper first, then place the cheese in a sealed container. Plastic alone traps moisture and speeds spoilage. Store safely. Keep cheeses away from strong-smelling foods. Soft cheese absorbs odors quickly, which can also signal quality decline. Never eat moldy soft cheese. If mold appears beyond the natural veins in blue cheese, throw out the entire piece. Cutting around it doesn't make it safe. Choose harder cheeses when possible. Cheddar, Parmesan, or Gouda resist mold better and carry far less risk. Visual: happy family enjoying a small, fresh cheese plate together. Bright colors, uplifting music. Narrator VO. Cheese can still be part of a joyful life. But remember, safety lies in moderation and freshness. For seniors, every food decision carries more weight. Your body deserves foods that strengthen it, not ones that silently undermine your health. By choosing smaller portions, storing them properly, and discarding anything suspicious, you not only protect your well-being, you also ensure that every bite you enjoy is truly safe. Because what is food, if not nourishment meant to sustain you for many more years to come? Tip overlay on screen. White heavy checkmark: buy only what you'll eat within a week. White heavy checkmark: wrap in parchment or wax paper, then seal. White heavy checkmark: discard if mold appears beyond blue veins. White heavy checkmark: choose hard cheeses when possible. Narrator VO. Soft cheeses may taste indulgent, but your health is priceless. Handle them wisely, and you can savor every bite without fear. 4. Pickled foods containing artificial colors or certain preservatives. Visual, slow motion of a fridge door opening. A hand grabs 2 jars of pickles, one cloudy, naturally muted in color, the other neon bright, almost glowing. The camera lingers on the difference. Narrator VO. Pickles have been a staple for centuries. Traditionally, they were a way to preserve harvests, locking vegetables in salt, vinegar, and thyme. For many seniors, a crunchy dill spear or a sweet relish brings back memories of family gatherings, picnics, and home-cooked meals. But the pickles sitting in many refrigerators today are far removed from that rustic tradition. What appears to be a simple cucumber or relish may, in reality, be a cocktail of synthetic dyes and chemical preservatives, hidden behind bright, unnatural colors. Visual, close-up of neon green pickles in a jar, contrasted with muted, rustic-looking homemade pickles. Overlay text, what's really in your jar? Narrator VO. Food scientists have long warned about dyes such as yellow 5, yellow 6, and red 40. These artificial colors aren't added for taste. They exist to trick the eye, making food look fresher or more appealing than it truly is. Reports from organizations such as the Environmental Working Group, EWG, and research cited by Food and Wine have raised concerns that these dyes may contribute to hyperactivity in children, allergic reactions in sensitive individuals, and long-term health effects that are still being studied. But for older adults, the risk doesn't end there. Pickled foods are acidic by nature. When artificial colors mingle with preservatives like sodium benzoate, a dangerous reaction can occur, the formation of benzene, a chemical classified as a known carcinogen. And here's the unsettling part. Benzene doesn't appear immediately. It can slowly build up the longer a jar sits in your fridge or pantry. What looks harmless, a jar half full of crunchy pickles, may in fact be a silent chemistry lab producing compounds your body was never meant to handle. Visual, animation showing a jar of pickles over weeks, bright colors holding strong, while invisible molecules labeled benzene form inside. Narrator VO. This is why time matters. Unlike naturally fermented pickles, which change flavor and texture as they age, artificially preserved pickles can sit unchanged for months. Their brightness doesn't fade, their crunch remains suspiciously perfect, and that's exactly the problem. The natural signs of spoilage have been covered up. You can't always see or smell the risk. And seniors, who may already be battling weakened immune systems, liver stress, or reduced kidney function, are far less equipped to deal with the toxic burden these chemicals place on the body. Visual, reenactment, a woman in her 60s preparing a sandwich. She spoons neon green relish onto it, smiling. Then the scene subtly darkens, while the narrator continues. Narrator VO. I once spoke with Marjorie, a retired teacher who adored her lunchtime sandwiches. She told me, I always keep sweet relish in the fridge, it lasts forever. What she didn't know was that the bright green relish she bought on sale contained both yellow 5 and sodium benzoate. After several months of use, Marjorie began experiencing recurring stomach upset and fatigue. While her case wasn't life-threatening, her doctor advised her to remove all artificially colored and preserved pickles from her diet. Within weeks, her digestion improved. Her story is a reminder. Sometimes it's not about what you eat today. It's about what your body endures day after day, year after year. Visual, hands arranging jars on a counter. On one side, commercial neon pickles with long ingredient lists. On the other, homemade pickles in mason jars, subtly tinted with beet juice, turmeric, or natural spices. Narrator VO. The good news is, you don't have to give up pickles entirely. You simply need to choose wisely. Here's what food safety experts recommend. Read the label carefully. Look for simple ingredients: cucumber, vinegar, salt, water, spices. If you see artificial colors like yellow 5, yellow 6, or red 40, put the jar back. Check for preservatives. Sodium benzoate and potassium benzoate are common in mass-market pickles. Combined with acids, they can form benzene over time. Opt for natural coloring. Some brands use beet juice, turmeric, or paprika to give pickles a pleasant hue without synthetic dyes. Mind the timeline. Once opened, pickles should be consumed within a few weeks, not months. Even naturally made pickles can develop mold or yeast if forgotten. Make your own. Homemade pickles aren't just safer, they're also customizable. You control the salt, the spices, and the process. And the taste? Unbeatable. Visual. Happy family canning jars together in a kitchen. Bright vegetables, turmeric-stained pickles, red beet pickles. All vibrant, but natural. Uplifting music builds. Narrator VO. Pickles should be a source of joy, not a risk. They were once about preserving life's bounty, not preserving a neon illusion on a supermarket shelf. For seniors who deserve foods that nourish and protect, making the switch to safer, naturally made pickles could mean fewer toxins, less chemical stress, and more peace of mind. Because in the end, what matters most isn't the brightness of your pickle's color. It's the brightness of your health and the years you add to your life. Tip overlay on screen. White heavy checkmark, choose naturally colored pickles, beet juice, turmeric, paprika. White heavy checkmark, avoid yellow 5, red 40, sodium benzoate. White heavy checkmark, consume within weeks of opening. White heavy checkmark, make your own for freshness and safety. Narrator VO. Pickles may seem small, but the choices you make, even with something as simple as a jar, can ripple across your health. Choose wisely, and let every bite work for you, not against you. 5. Sugary drinks or ultra-processed foods stored long-term. Visual. Camera slowly pans across a refrigerator. At first, we see crisp apples, fresh greens, and a jug of water. But as the lens shifts, hidden behind the healthy items, the camera reveals a row of brightly colored sodas, sugary fruit juices, and stacked frozen ready meals. The healthy light fades, shadows creep in around the processed foods. Narrator VO. When most of us think of danger lurking in the fridge, we picture spoiled milk, moldy leftovers, or meats gone bad. But the true risk is often far more subtle and far more common. Sugary drinks, ultra-processed snacks, and ready-to-eat frozen or packaged meals may look harmless, even convenient. After all, they don't go bad the way fresh food does. They sit there quietly, unchanged for weeks or months. But the true risk is often far more subtle and far more common. Sugary drinks, ultra-processed snacks, and ready-to-eat frozen or packaged meals may look harmless, even convenient. After all, they don't go bad the way fresh food does. They sit there quietly, unchanged for weeks or months. But therein lies the problem. Foods that never change in appearance rarely bring the kind of nourishment your body truly needs. And for seniors, the risks are multiplied. Visual. A can of soda being opened in slow motion, fizz rising dramatically. Cut to an older man sipping from it as the narrator continues. Narrator VO. Take sugary drinks, for instance. A single can of soda may contain as much as 40 grams of sugar, 10 teaspoons in just one serving. That sudden sugar rush doesn't just spike blood glucose. It floods the bloodstream, triggering a cascade of insulin production. For seniors, many of whom may already be managing conditions like prediabetes, diabetes, or metabolic syndrome, these swings can strain the pancreas, wear down insulin sensitivity, and set the stage for chronic disease. But the danger doesn't end at blood sugar. Over time, excessive sugar intake promotes systemic inflammation, a slow-burning fire in the body that scientists now link to heart disease, dementia, and certain cancers. A 2023 report from Continental Hospitals warned that the habitual consumption of sugary drinks directly increases cancer risk, particularly cancers of the breast and colon. Visual. Close-up of a freezer drawer packed with microwavable meals and prepackaged snacks. Labels flash words like "ready in 3 minutes" and "preserved freshness." Narrator VO. Then, there are the ultra-processed ready meals and snacks. These are engineered for shelf life, not for health. Their ingredient lists often include refined flours, industrial oils, excess sodium, stabilizers, emulsifiers, and preservatives designed to withstand months of storage. Studies summarized in publications such as Food and Wine highlight that frequent consumption of these foods is tied to higher rates of cardiovascular disease, obesity, and digestive problems. More concerning still, researchers have found correlations between high intake of ultra-processed foods and cancer incidence, particularly colorectal cancer. One reason? Many of these meals and snacks are high in acrylamides, advanced glycation end products, AGEs, and other compounds formed during high-temperature industrial processing. These compounds can damage DNA, fuel oxidative stress, and accelerate aging at the cellular level. Visual. A montage. An elderly woman heating up a frozen lasagna, a man pouring soda over ice, a senior reaching for packaged cookies late at night. The background grows dim, illustrating the hidden cost of convenience. Narrator VO. For seniors already managing weakened immunity, high blood pressure, or reduced kidney function, these hidden ingredients are like constant background noise, quietly undermining health, sip by sip, bite by bite. And because these foods don't spoil quickly, it's easy to keep them around. A carton of soda can sit in the back of the fridge for weeks. A frozen meal can wait months for the day you're too tired to cook. But convenience can come at the expense of resilience. Longevity is not built on foods that survive the longest in a package. It's built on foods that nourish the longest in your body. Visual, warm transition, farmers market produce, seniors cooking a simple vegetable stir-fry, children sharing fresh fruit with grandparents. Narrator VO. The solution isn't to eliminate all convenience. It's about shifting priorities. Instead of filling your fridge with products that last forever, fill it with foods that are alive, full of color, enzymes, vitamins, and mineral. Nutrition experts recommend: swap sugary drinks for water infused with lemon, cucumber, or fresh herbs. Even lightly brewed green tea stored in the fridge offers antioxidants without the sugar overload. Limit processed snacks. Instead, keep nuts, seeds, cut-up veggies, or fresh fruit in grab-and-go containers for quick energy. Rethink ready meals. Prepare your own batch-cooked stews, soups, or casseroles. Freeze them in single-serve containers. That way, you get convenience without the chemical baggage. Mind your labels. If an ingredient list reads like a science experiment, with dozens of unrecognizable additives, it doesn't belong in your fridge. Visual, closing shot, an elderly couple laughing in their kitchen, preparing a colorful salad together. The fridge in the background is now filled with fresh produce, homemade containers, and sparkling water bottles instead of sodas. Narrator VO. Your fridge is more than just storage. It's a reflection of your future health. What you keep inside is what you will one day put inside yourself. Sugary drinks and ultra-processed foods promise convenience, but they steal vitality. For seniors, who deserve to savor their golden years in strength and health, the choice is clear: prioritize whole, fresh, life-giving foods. Because every bite can either dim the flame of your health or help it shine brighter for years to come. Tip overlay on screen. White heavy checkmark: replace soda with water, infused drinks, or unsweetened tea. White heavy checkmark: keep nuts, seeds, and fruit instead of processed snacks. White heavy checkmark: freeze homemade meals for safe, quick options. White heavy checkmark: read labels. Avoid long lists of chemicals. Narrator VO. Your refrigerator can be a tool for healing or harm. Choose wisely. Stock it with foods that love you back.